The Cinderella year started for real on a rather warm Saturday afternoon at Memorial Field. The opponent, the Warhawks from the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, were rated as a shoo-in to win the Wisconsin State Conference. Wildcats starting quarterback Bob Tuma was injured early in the first period and replaced by sophomore Steve Mariucci, who was coming back from a shoulder operation. It became quickly apparent Mariucci was ready to play as he directed the Cats to a stunning 34-0 victory, breaking an 11-game Northern losing streak. Lauren Prim, who was picked Cat of the Week, scored a pair of TDs. Jack Hearn tied a school record with a 72-yard punt, and Paul Cucinato picked off a pass and raced 26 yards for a TD with one of 4 Warhawk passes that were picked off by the Cats. Northern racked up 247 yards rushing for the day, and the turnabout was underway. The following Saturday afternoon, the Eastern Illinois Panthers invaded Memorial Field, a trip they just as soon forget. Northern got TDs from 5 different players in their 38-22 win. Lauren Prim, Stu Betts, and Kurt Albrecht each scored on the ground, and Skip Mitchell grabbed a 14-yard TD pass from Steve Mariucci. The Wildcats amassed 223 yards on the ground this Saturday afternoon, upping their season's record to 2-0. For the second straight week, Paul Cucinato returned an intercepted pass the distance for Northern, this time 58 yards, a feat earning him Cat of the Week honors. Northern now looked at its first road trip of the year. The opponent would be the defending NCAA Division II champion, Central Michigan University Chippewas. The largest crowd ever to watch a Northern Central football clash showed up at Perry Short Stadium. Central, picked by some so-called football experts to win by as much as 30, scored first to take a 7-0 lead. But the Cats came back quickly with a 79-yard TD bomb from Cat of the Week Steve Mariucci to speedster Zach Fowler. In the third quarter, Stu Betts took a Mariucci pitch out and raced 44 yards for a Northern TD, putting the Cats ahead 14-7. Central tied the score early in the fourth quarter, but after the Chippewas coughed the ball up on a punt return with Joel Hanna recovering for Northern, Dan Harvest went to work with a 32-yard field goal, putting the Cats up by 3. After the Chippewas threatened to score again, only to turn the ball over again on an interception by Keith Ponder, Steve Mariucci laid down in Northern's end zone, giving Central 2 points, 1 short of a tie. The Cats held on for a stunning 17-16 win over the defending NCAA Division II champs, and the ball was rolling toward Northern's own title drive. The Cats were 3-0 and ranked in the nation's top 10 small college powers. Victory number 4 came at the expense of the University of Nebraska Omaha Mavericks. The Wildcats, now nationally ranked, put on an awesome show for their hometown fans. Stu Betts, drafted by the New England Patriots, was selected Cat of the Week, rushing for 117 yards, his second straight 100-yard performance. Bobby Tuma, who replaced the injured Steve Mariucci at quarterback, started the offensive onslaught with a neat 3-yard keeper that fooled even the cameraman. Lauren Prim got 3 TDs on the day for Northern and a total of 99 yards rushing. Paul Krieger scored on an option play, and Randy Awrey rambled 39 yards for yet another Northern score. Northern's team offense totaled 434 yards in their 41-14 win. The Cats were now 4-0. Homecoming 1975 was almost perfect for the Wildcats. A sunny 62-degree Saturday afternoon, a fine crowd, over 7,600, the third largest in Northern history, and a shutout over Youngstown State, 15-0. The Wildcats claimed 8 Youngstown turnovers, including 3 interceptions, and scored their only touchdown when tight end Brian Adams picked up a Stu Betts fumble and stepped into the end zone. The Cats knocked 3 additional times in the first 17 minutes, but came up with only 5 points. A safety by middle guard Rich McGuire and a field goal in the second half by Dan Harvis, which finished the day's scoring. Tommy Gilbert was picked Cat of the Week. All he did was get 3 quarterback sacks, force 2 fumbles, and recover another. The win moved Northern to 5-0 on the year and to 6th place in the NCAA Division II ratings. Next up, a tough test, the Akron Zips. The 6th week of the season proved to be the only cloudy afternoon of the year. With rain threatening, the Akron Zips handed Northern a 30-13 defeat. Akron scored 9 quick points in the first period, and the Wildcats never caught up, despite a record-setting passing performance by Steve Mariucci, who hit 19 of 31 passes for 269 yards, connecting with split end Zach Fowler a record-tying 7 times for 129 yards, and hitting tight end Brian Adams 5 times for 77 yards and a TD. Place kicker Dan Harvis kicked a pair of field goals, setting a record of 8 in a season, 1 for 49 yards, tying the school distance mark. Over 6,000 fans watched the Wildcats suffer their only defeat of the year. The Cats were now 5-1. The question now was, would the Cats rebound from their first loss? The answer came quickly at Eastern Michigan. It was a resounding yes and a 20-7 win over the Hurons. The Wildcats scored all their points in the first quarter and then held Western scoreless until late in the game. The passing attack again took the spotlight, with Steve Mariucci hitting 8 of 16 for 256 yards. He hit Skip Mitchell with a long scoring bomb and reached in Zach Fowler 4 times for 132 yards. Alex Maslamani gained Cat of the Week honors, causing 4 Eastern fumbles and recovering another, and was given major credit for shutting off Eastern's power sweep. The Cats were back on track at 6-1 and returning home to Memorial Field. Saginaw Valley proved to be a tough opponent for Northern, as the Cats had to come from behind with 14 points in the final period to beat the Cardinals 20-15. The Wildcats' first score was a TD pass to fleet end Zach Fowler. Northern's running game also came alive against Saginaw Valley, with Stu Betts leading the way with 156 total yards. Randy Awrey also supplied a lot of firepower out of Northern's backfield and gained Cat of the Week honors, running for 141 yards in only 15 attempts. This dash going for 61 yards. Randy also scored the winning touchdown a couple plays later. His winning TD was like icing on the cake, served at Northern's 7th victory celebration of the year. The Wildcats' final home appearance of the season was against Grand Valley State, and for the second week in a row, Northern had to come from behind for a 21-17 win. The Wildcat defense looked good once again. Paul Cucinato, Dave Stender, and Tom Butchkowski all recovered enemy fumbles, and Joe Stemmel picked off an enemy aerial. Offensively, Steve Mariucci passed the Lakers crazy. He hit for a record 292 yards, getting touchdowns on 3 of his 16 completions. Mariucci connected on a 24-yard strike to Skip Mitchell. Steve also capped a long drive with a short flip to speedy Zach Fowler. And the sophomore quarterback finished the winning drive with a 53-yard TD toss to Greg Grigsby on the old lonesome end play. Grigsby, who played well on special teams all season, was selected Cat of the Week. Northern was now 8-1 and thinking of postseason play. But still in the way were 2 regular season foes. Victory number 9 for the season came on the road against St. Norbert's. Steve Mariucci pitched 3 touchdowns in the Cats' impressive 42-14 win. He hit tight end Brian Adams with strikes of 54 and 16 yards and threw a 7-yarder to Stu Betts. Mariucci completed 10 of 14 passes on the day for 203 yards. He ran for another 4 yards for a total of 207 to break the school's single-season record for individual total offense. Betts was named Cat of the Week. Coming off an injury, the senior fullback bowled for 76 yards and 2 touchdowns. As a team, Northern's 411 total offensive yards raised the season total above the old single-season record, with 1 regular season game still to go. Another tough test on the road at Western Illinois, a game that would prove to be the biggest heart thumper of the Cinderella season. A win over the Leathernecks in Macomb would certainly mean a bold bid for Northern, but things did not go well in the early going for the Wildcats, and they fell behind 23-7 after 3 quarters. Then, to the amazement of everyone, Northern started another comeback. With just over 10 minutes left, Steve Mariucci scored on a keeper to make it 23-13. After Mike Berry recovered a Western fumble, the Cats drove for another score with Stu Betts going the final 2 yards. It was a game again with Northern down by only 3, 23-20. But time was getting short. After a bad snap and a short punt, the Cats struck again. Steve Mariucci firing a 38-yard pass to Skip Mitchell, who made a diving catch with 1:26 left in the game to put Northern ahead 27-13. Western Illinois fell short in 2 more offensive tries, and the Wildcats had pulled one of the greatest all-time comebacks. The bowl bid came quickly. The Wildcats had finished the regular season at 10-1. The Wildcats were paired with Boise State in the opening round of the Division II NCAA playoffs. The Broncos, playing on their own home field, drew first blood, recovering a Northern fumble for a touchdown and a rather quick 7-0 lead. After Boise State fumbled a Jack Hearn punt and Tom Gilbert recovered for the Wildcats, Dan Harvest put Northern on the board with a 21-yard field goal, ending the first half with the Wildcats trailing 7-3. The Cats drove quickly in the beginning of the second half, but lost a great chance at 7 when the Broncos picked up another Northern fumble in their own end zone. But the setback proved only temporary. Northern struck again to take a 10-7 lead when Steve Mariucci hit Zach Fowler with a TD strike. But the Broncos came right back to lead 14-7. A Boise fumble recovered by Randy Zimmerman set up another Northern score. Randy Awrey blasted the final yard to put Northern ahead to stay 17-14. Rich McGuire scooped up yet another Bronco fumble, setting up an insurance Northern score. Several plays later, Steve Mariucci went 16 yards on a keeper for the TD. Boise State scored again with 1:30 left, but it was too little too late. Northern had advanced to the Pioneer Bowl in Texas with a 24-21 win over Boise State, champion of the Big Sky Conference. And the Cinderella year had provided its 11th victory against just one loss. Livingston State of Alabama was the opponent in the NCAA semifinals in Texas. The Tigers built an early 10-0 lead, but then the Cats took over, scoring 4 quick touchdowns. Steve Mariucci hit Skip Mitchell with a deflected pass for the first tally. Next up, it was a 26-yard strike to Zach Fowler. A Mariucci keeper and another score. And finally, Randy Awrey scampers 3 yards for 6. And the Cats lead at the half, 28-16. In the second half, it was simply a matter of Northern hanging on. Livingston put on a good long drive in the third quarter to cut the Cats' lead to 28-23. A 30-yard field goal by the Tigers cut the margin to 28-26. Then, with Livingston driving for the winning tally, Tom Butchkowski recovered a big fumble, and the Cats held on for a 28-26 win. And now, it was California. Here we come. The site was Hughes Stadium in Sacramento, California, the climax to a fabulous football season at Northern, the battle for a national championship against Western Kentucky. The Hilltoppers took an early 7-0 lead, but the Wildcats came right back. Dan Harvis hitting a 25-yard field goal to make it 7-3. An 80-yard drive led to another Hilltopper score and a 14-3 lead. Again, the Cats struck back. Steve Mariucci firing a 49-yard TD strike to Skip Mitchell, and the Cats closed the gap to 14-10 at the half. Northern stunned the crowd and the Hilltoppers in the opening seconds of the second half when Randy Awrey raced up the middle through a host of tacklers and 67 yards for a score. The extra point made it Northern 16, Western Kentucky 14. The two clubs battled back and forth most of the second half until Western tried a 15-yard field goal that would have given them the lead. The kick was wide to the left, and the Cats hung on. Tommy Gilbert got the last quarterback sack of the season, putting the Hilltoppers on the losing end, and the Wildcats Camellia Bowl and national championship winners. The turnabout was complete, from 0-10 to 13-1 and national champions. Words simply couldn't describe the feelings of pride surrounding the Wildcats, their coaches, and fans. Danny Stencil was named an All-American, and it was indeed a Cinderella year for the 1975 Northern Michigan University Wildcats. They were NCAA Division II national champs.